Have you ever wanted keyless entry on your door? Today we're going to show you how to replace your deadbolt to get just that. Removing a deadbolt is really very simple. There are only 4 screws, 2 on the inside and 2 on the edge. We'll remove those and the lock will come completely apart. The first thing we'll do is we'll take the screws out of the jamb. First one and the second one. You'll notice they're very small, easy to take out. Just 2 little screws. We'll set them aside. And we'll adjust the deadbolt so we can unscrew these. And some, like this bald one, these screws are very long. So I will occasionally use an electric drill. Hold on to the outside. Pull 2 screws out. You'll see the back plate and the inner plate come loose. Outside comes off as well. Then you just pull this piece right out. That's all there is to it. One thing I like to do, if I'm going to be working for a little while, I'll cover the hole with a bit of tape so I can close the door and not get bugs in the house. There are essentially 3 main parts to a deadbolt. You have the exterior where the key goes. You have the interior part that you turn to unlock the door from the inside. And then you have the actual deadbolt itself. On most systems there are a couple of little adapters and protection devices, but everyone's a little bit different. But 3 main parts are these. In this particular model, they fit together. You'll notice on the end here, I don't know if you can see that, there's actually a flat spot and an oval spot. And you'll notice the same is true on here. See this hole? So it fits together just like this. And then all the pieces fit right together. And what you'll notice is these screw holes go through the outside, and I'll take this back piece off so you can see a little better. There are holes in this plate. They go through holes in the center here, and they actually attach to the exterior piece, and they screw into these holes right here. So let me assemble that for you real quickly so you can see what I'm talking about. They'll come through the back side here, but I'm going to leave that off so you can see what's actually happening. And they go through and into this hole here. This is the exterior plate, so it's screwed in from the outside with 2 long high security screws. Just like that. Of course, it goes through the interior plate, but I didn't put it on so you can see. So really, it would look like this. Goes through here, goes through the center, and into the actual and I'll spread it apart here a little bit so you can see. See See how these pieces fit together? So what actually happens is when you rotate the interior, it retracts deadbolt. And likewise, when you do the same with the key, it does the same. And that's really how a deadbolt works. They're very simple, easy to replace, not very complicated. The main parts of the electronic deadbolt are virtually identical to the main parts of the non-electronic deadbolt. The main differences that you'll see here are they're obviously a lot bigger because you got to have room for the keypad, the speaker, the electronics, and the battery holder. But functionally, they're the same three pieces. You have the exterior piece, you have the central deadbolt, and you have the interior piece. They all fit together just like that. And you'll see as you turn the knob, it retracts. Now, one nice thing about these Yale locks in particular is, I don't know if you can see this, but this is actually a tapered shaft. This makes installation a lot easier. It means you don't have to be quite as exact when you're placing it in, and it won't jam, which is better on the electronics. It actually is tapered so that it'll fit in and it'll pull itself closed with a lot of torque. But essentially, those are the three parts, and we'll assemble them on the door. Installing the electronic deadbolt is only slightly more complicated than installing a regular deadbolt. One thing you need to watch out for is notice the directions here tell you which direction is up. Make sure that faces up. You place the actual deadbolt in the receptacle and you tighten it down. Like that. Next, you take the tape off and you place the deadbolt in this location. The deadbolt actually comes with two rubber seals. Those rubber seals fit on the inside and the outside. Placed together just like that. Make sure that the cable runs through. And just like we showed you before, run a screw in here. And you run a screw in here. The only thing that's any more difficult here is you got to watch out for the cable, and you're actually installing an intermediate plate first. So you go ahead and screw this down. These are big, long, secure screws. But that's what you want, because you want your deadbolt to be very strong. One thing I like to do once I do this part, before I totally tighten it up, is I'll check front and back and make sure that it's pretty square, because you want it to look nice and vertical. You don't want it to be cockeyed on the door. So I'll take it, open the door up a little bit here, make sure that looks good and straight. It does. Looks good and straight on this side. The next thing, you take the inner plate, you attach the cable. Make sure that I'm putting it in the right way. Hi, Maddox. Sorry about that. My dog started barking at the neighbor. So you take the cable and you make sure that you have it oriented correctly, and you plug it into the appropriate slot on the inside. This is probably the hardest part of installing this lock. You got to make sure you get it in there good and firm, just like that. And then this piece fits on it like that. Make sure that the lock tab goes in the appropriate position. You put a screw in place. Oops. Sorry, I bumped the camera there. Put the remaining screw in, and the lock is installed. This is Mr. Maddox. He likes our next door neighbor. He sees her outside. And just like that, the lock is installed.